Hi everyone, welcome back to HR Debatable. My name is Nelly Verlinden. I'm still your host, and today I'm being joined by two fantastic guests, Sandra Solomon and Mariana Murtoma. Hi Sandra and hi Mariana.
Hi, Nelly.
Hi, Nelly.
Super nice to have you. Now, before I get to our guests, there's one thing I want to ask you because I too often forget to ask you this. But if you haven't subscribed yet to the podcast, please do so on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening. And also, if you could leave us with a review, that would be fantastic because it really helps the podcast grow further. So thank you very much from me personally and from the rest of the team. All right, now let's get back to our guests. Sandra, perhaps you can introduce yourself in a few words.
Yes, absolutely. I'm the director of HR at CHRO Stockholm. We are a hotel in the city center. We have 9 floors and 460 rooms and a big conference department.
Thank you. Mariana, maybe you can also introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mariana. I'm working as an interim HR in Helsinki, Finland. And I'm currently working in a Swedish company called Know It as an interim HR manager. So lovely to meet you all.
Yes, and lovely to have both of you here for this episode. We are actually having quite a Scandinavian episode, I'm realizing now. So super nice. All right, for those of you tuning in for the very first time to HR Debatable, let me quickly explain to you what we do at this podcast. As the name suggests, we have debates around HR and the world of work. So what happens is I will introduce a topic to Sandra and Mariana, and then I will ask each of them what they think about it. And then, of course, they get an opportunity to elaborate on that. And I may take it upon myself to play devil's advocate every now and then. So that's what we'll do. Sandra, Mariana, do you have any questions?
No, we're ready.
All right, cool. Then let's go. Okay, so here goes for our first debate. Now, the bigger theme here is the field of HR as a whole. Let me give you a little bit of context. So the inspiration from this first debate comes from something that I shared on my LinkedIn feed recently. It was an article entitled People and Culture versus HR. What's the difference? The post generated over 1,200 reactions and it led to a really interesting discussion in the comments. Now, let me share a few of these comments with you. So here's one comment. Very nice overview. I do not see it as versus. People and culture is the next level in the evolution of HR. The ongoing trend here is that is here to stay is as the focus rightfully shifts to employees and their engagement from administration of policies and procedures. Another comment went as follows. The title does not matter, but the content. The desired functions and responsibilities listed above should belong both to the CHRO and the CPCO. I think every HR function needs to do this transition regardless of what they are called. And then a last comment that I wanted to share with you was the rebranding of HR to people and culture reflects a shift toward a more holistic approach to managing employee experiences. This name suggests a focus beyond traditional administrative functions, aiming to shape a positive, supportive environment for employees. However, culture ultimately originates from the top, and the leadership team plays a critical role in setting and embodying organizational values, norms, and behaviors. Now, of course, then the LinkedIn algorithm did its work and it presented me with several posts from other people related to this very topic. And one of them was a post from Adam Horn. Now, let me share a little part of what he wrote. He wrote, does the word culture belong in HR and people job titles or not? Now, Adam's view is yes, but with caveats. He hears this debate a lot, and the main complaint is that HR teams with culture in their titles feel like it's all on them. However, someone should lead the design, the improvement, and the change of culture, and in Adam's view, that someone is HR. Now, all of this, Sandra and Mariana, brings me to our first statement of today. The end of HR is here. It's time to start saying people and culture instead. I'm going to start with you, Mariana. What do you vote or what do you say to this? Do you say yes or no?
I would say HR is not dead yet, but I do feel that there is a room for people and culture discussion.
Okay, thank you. Sandra, what do you say on this one?
I say no. HR will never die. And there is, we are putting emphasis on people and culture, and it's part of HR, but it's not. HR is not included in people and culture. It's people and culture that is included in HR.
Okay, nice, interesting. Okay, I want to hear from both of you, of course. Mariana, I'm going to go back to you first. So yeah, maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
I like being called HR. I feel it's a name that everybody pretty much understands what it means. If I'm talking about people and culture, it often has connotations of being just fun and games and a chief happiness officer type of role. Nothing against chief happiness officers. I'm sure there's a space for them as well. But when you are working in HR, you need to know your legal framework. You need to have the basics in place. Some of them, what some people call old HR. But if you don't have that foundation there, it's very, very hard to build any culture or any people function on top of that. So I really like, Sandra, your quote that people and culture belongs in HR. And I think that was very well said. I really like that statement.
Okay, thank you, Mariana. Well, that is also a really good bridge to go back to you, Sandra. So
Yeah,
maybe, yeah, you can tell us a little bit more as well.
yeah, absolutely. And Mariana, I think you said something very important about people thinking it's only fun and games if you call it people and culture. And I mean, we are a lot of HR professionals. I have a network with over 20 HR professionals on a high level. And we all know how much we have struggled to be taken seriously and to gain the respect that we deserve in the organizations and win the authority that it is to actually know your labor laws, know your collective agreements, know the administration. And yes, we do everything for people and culture, but this is the framework that we are handling. And it's not just about people and culture. It's about business. It's about revenue. It's about GOP. It's all of those parts too. So calling it people and culture, it's making it something smaller than it actually is. And we have done a lot of work to get the organization and the ex committees to actually understand that HR is something that you need for your business. It's not just fun and games. So it's a very valid point that you picked up there.
Okay, wow. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, yes, this is such a good point. I think you should maybe join the discussion, in the comments on LinkedIn, because, well, Mariana, that's how we actually met, so to speak, because of those comments. But this is such a valid point indeed. That has been such a, yeah, you called it a struggle to actually get to this point as HR. And I do see what you mean as well by people and culture maybe being perceived as fun and games. I can see that as well. And also, it just doesn't cover the full spectrum of what HR is actually involved in. So these are some really valid points. Something else I was wondering about when I heard both of you speak is, I think it was something you said, Mariana. You said, so yeah, HR is also something that pretty much everybody actually knows then what we are talking about. It's like a commonly understood thing. My question here is, because it's something that was also mentioned in the comments, and I think it was you who mentioned that actually, Mariana, right? That basically you need to start with, okay, what do we define by HR, and make sure that everybody gets that, because it's not always the case. So Mariana, I'm going to go back to you. I would love to hear both of your thoughts on this.
Right. I think that came because I mentioned I'm writing a book at the moment about HR, and it's a very sort of basic handbook for HR. The title is HR. And it's because we want to bring I'm writing it with a colleague, and we want to bring very strongly about that. We need to, as HR, we need to know the labor laws, we need to know the collective agreements, but we need to have a very employee or candidate centered way of carrying these HR processes and policies, whatever we do. And that's why I feel that it's very important to have this discussion. What does HR mean these days? And because there is sometimes in different organizations, I notice people have varying, because I'm doing this interim work, there are varying degrees of what HR is. Something is just the organizational police that is just there to look after all the necessary legal requirements, and that's it. Others think that it's just there to make sure everybody's having good time, everybody's feeling well, and the truth is somewhere in between. And quite recently, I've been getting a lot of messages from CEOs, and quite a lot of work I've been doing is for CEOs who have had a people and culture or somebody with a different title than HR, sometimes even HR, and they have been a bit too, I use this word soft, but I don't mean hard soft as opposites, but they've been just very much like a function that's been looking after the well-being and more on that sort of what I would call soft side. And now they say that we are not really looking how efficient we are, and we are struggling financially. So that's why I feel there has to be understanding what it is, and it's supporting businesses, and it's supporting organizations to function well. And if it's a profit making business, you should be making profit, because then you can pay the salaries.
Yeah, which kind of is the basis of everything, right?
And sometimes it's forgotten by employees. It feels that they just think there's a bottomless pit of money where money just appears for salaries. And unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't quite go like that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. Sandra, I would love to hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that comes to my mind. I mean, it's interesting to say that some knows exactly what HR is doing and some does not. And when we talk about is HR over, is it time for people and culture? I mean, we can play with titles. We can call us wherever, put any name you want on my department. What really matters is what the employees see that HR is actually doing and what stories are building up around the employees. What do they tell each other? What do they actually see us do? And what do we communicate? And one thing I do a lot is using the digital arena. I'm very active on LinkedIn, trying to spread culture, trying to spread values and share stories. And that is also building the view of what is HR. But if I don't do that, which I think that many HR departments don't, maybe because we think that we need to have so high integrity, meaning that we shouldn't tell people about things. We shouldn't. I mean, we do have to work with confidentiality, but still, integrity is also standing for something, showing your values, showing your culture. So, I mean, call us whatever you want, but we need to show what we are doing and why we are needed in the company.
Oh, wow. I like that as well. I like that very much, actually. So I was almost thinking like, yeah, you said it in a way, like call us whatever you want, but as long as it is clear for everyone that what we are doing and also what we stand for. That was a good one as well. Love that. Yes. Okay. So before we are going to go to our second debate, Mariana, is there anything you would like to add before we move on? Or Sandra, is there anything you'd like to add?
No. I really love what Sandra was saying. I think it was really well put.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Fantastic. Love it. Okay, thank you so much for this beautiful opening debate.